everyone. It's Candace Craw Goldman from quantumhealers.com. And today I've got BQH practitioner Heather Hink with me. Hi, Heather.
Hi, Candace. How are you?
Heather, it's so great to meet you.
It's very nice to meet you.
Really, really wonderful to meet you. So here's how I know you. I know when somebody sent me a YouTube link to your latest video.
Yeah.
And they were trying to tell me, you should watch this video. And believe me, I get so many of those, texts and messages, etc. And when I noticed that it was you, I was like, that name sounds familiar. And it was a BQH session. So, you've been on our community, community, you took the BQH course, but I haven't had a lot of interaction with you. So I didn't quite know what you were up to, but obviously you've been up to a lot lately.
Yeah, lately I have, absolutely.
All right. So today, here's what we're going to do because and what did you title it exactly? The show that we're going to talk about?
It will be huge.
It will be huge. So, that's the title of your show. It will be huge. It's actually a very long show, 2 hours and 40 minutes.
2 hours and 40 minutes.
That's a long show. And typically if somebody sends me a link like that, I'm like, I don't even know what to do with something like that.
Right.
And we're going to do this interview, and we're actually going to tag that very long show right after this. So if those of you who are watching haven't noticed it or not, this is going to be a very, very long YouTube video that you may want to watch in parts, but I didn't want to split it up into parts for our channel. I wanted to just go ahead and roll into the interview after this, or excuse me, your session after.
Yeah.
But I wanted to set it up a little bit. And I just have a few questions for you, if that's all right.
Sure, absolutely.
All right. So how long have you been practicing BQH? It hasn't been that long, has it? And about how many sessions have you done?
It hasn't. I started taking your course around 2019 and got through about half of it and decided I needed to wait a little bit and see if that was something that I wanted to do. And so I just continued on my path of watching other practitioner sessions that was helping me tremendously. I love them so much. And then in 2020, I sort of heard the voice that said, you can do this. And I just had this massive intuition to get back on the course and finish it. And I had a lovely friend who allowed me to test out on her. We did a few sessions, and by her third session, I thought, I can do this, and this is fun. So I just ran with it, and
that's great.
It's been amazing. And to date, I've done probably around 50 sessions so far. So
that's actually pretty good. That's actually pretty good, because some people, just do sessions here and there. But so I listened to the session. It will be huge. And I listened to the whole thing. It took me a little while to get through it, but I listened to the whole thing. You did a great job. So I've got a few questions I'd like to just kind of set up this session for people who might be watching it for the first time. So my first question is, how did you come to know Kim?
So she was a client. I didn't know Kim before. She signed up for a session, and we met. She brought to her first session, she had a lot of great questions, and just a wide variety of questions, personal questions, things about current events that are happening right now, future events, after the shift, just a little bit of everything. So we had just met in our first session together.
Okay. And was the session that you did with her then, or I understand you've done a couple, were they online sessions?
They were online sessions.
Okay.
Yes.
How did that go for you? And have you done all online sessions, or you started with your friend who was in person?
Yeah. Every session that I've done has been online.
Even the first ones?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. And the first sessions that I did were with practitioners in the BQH forum. So we did the session swaps. That's how I sort of got some practice. The only in-person sessions I've done has been with the friends in my neighborhood. If I can drag them onto my couch so they can try this out. Yeah, but everything's online.
Super. Okay. Yeah. So you went through so much in this session with Kim, and I guess I just have a few questions that I want to ask about the session itself.
Yeah.
The biggest one is, when it was all over and you were talking about it, can you give me Kim's reaction? Like maybe some of the biggest surprises or things that she hadn't thought of before, or, what kind of big revelations was it for her? Because, you as a practitioner and having sessions, and myself, sometimes these things are inklings that kind of move through our mind, and then having a session clarifies things. But there's sometimes that things are just completely out of the blue surprises. And I wondered, how does Kim fare in these sessions she's done with you?
Yeah, I think, I think the second session was more, that session was so cool because we actually partnered on it, and we brought questions from both sides. So she brought her list of questions. I brought my list of questions. I didn't share my list of questions with her before the session, which shows how powerful the information was that she was receiving, because she didn't have an idea of what I was bringing from my side. I think the thing that there were a couple of things that really stood out to her. I think first, when we went into Inner Earth and she could see Agartha, and she was looking at the beings and the way the landscape looked, she said it was just the most beautiful thing that you can put, like, you can't even put it into words. And her guide said, this is what's coming for us down the road. This is the way that our world will eventually begin to look. Mm-hmm. And I think the second thing that was just absolutely mind-blowing for her was Source came into the session in the middle of the session. And I could tell, because as a practitioner, when a higher dimensional being, when that higher energy starts to come in, it completely shifts the way that they speak. They can talk more robotic. It's almost like their voice is being modulated. It's just the energy is so intense. Mm-hmm. And I think that was it was humbling for me. I sort of lost focus. I'm thinking from my side, like, what do I ask? What do I say? We're talking to Source creators. So, but she said the energy was so incredibly intense that it just felt powerful. She said, if you could feel the sheer power of the energy that was coming through, it was insane.
I'm so happy to hear that. And, I'm one of those people, actually, I'm rather pleased. This is just my own personal preference.
Yeah.
I'm rather pleased that it was an audio only session. But that being said, can you tell me, and I understand kind of, being affected by the energy. Believe me, I get that. But could you see anything changing visually on your screen at that time? And it doesn't always mean that it does, but sometimes it does.
Yeah, I have had sessions where I've watched my clients, their bodies are almost undulating like this when the energy's moving through, or I've watched them shake. I could not see anything from her perspective, but she said her entire body was shaking and vibrating, and she could feel it. And I was like, well, I didn't notice it from my end. I was like, you were holding it together pretty well.
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Mm-hmm. So you went through a lot of different things. Yeah, the Inner Earth, the fallen civilizations. You have pathogen news in there. Of course, you talked to Source, and I love that too. Yeah. Some newer things and what's coming down the pike. I guess my real final question to you before we just go ahead and share this session with everyone on the Quantum Healers channel here is, what's been the general reaction to this session release? And, what kind of things have you heard in comments or emails or things that people have said to you?
Oh, it's been overwhelming. when I was listening back to the session after it was over, I thought, this is really good. Like there's such a range of information. The comments have been incredible, and I never expected it to take off like it did. I thought it would get some attention, but not the attention that's gotten. I think the last time I checked, there's over 169 comments on it.
Wow.
Which is incredible for me. And I feel like everybody that comes along and leaves a comment, there's something in the video that really deeply resonates, or they connect with, or they hear some information that helps them. I told Kim, I said, I feel like the way that your guides have brought this information through, they are sharing some of the darker information that we need to know, but they're very careful in the way that they share it, not to bring in fear. And to give everybody an understanding that there's always things that they can do to overcome some of these things that they're worried about. The comments, the reaction has been incredible. And I feel so very blessed that we were brought together. Do you want me to tell how we were brought together?
I would love to hear that.
Grandfathers. Yes. So in the session, and I don't remember how we led into it, but long story short, we come together, or we find that our grandfathers went to guide school together and brought us together for this work. Now, I already knew that my grandfather had I don't want to say stayed back, because I just made the choice to be my guide. I had a medium a few years ago tell me that we were in an energy healing session, and she was like, can you stop for a minute, because you've got somebody flagging me down trying to get my attention. And I said, okay. And she said, it's your grandfather on your mother's side. And he said he chose to stay and be your guide. And he's so proud of the work that you're doing. And he just loves you so much. Of course, that threw me completely off for the rest of the session. I'm like, But so I knew that. So the fact that her grandfather connected and they brought us together. I mean, I've just been saying thank you for the last week. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm so intrigued with that story. For Kim, did it happen to be the grandfather on her mother's side as well?
That's a great question. I'm not sure, but I feel like it must have been the one that she asked about in her session. I feel like it had to have been, because if that came into our session, that had to have been the connection.
I'm connecting with my own grandfather on my mother's side right now as well. So these synchronicities to me, they're just guideposts and amazing little bits of information that the universe gives us to tell us we're on the right track. And it's such an exciting time to be a human during this time of expansion. Listen, I think you did a marvelous job in that session, truly marvelous. And I'm very proud.
Thank you. We have more sessions to come too. So if anybody watches and that was something that resonated or connected with you, be on the lookout for more sessions.
Super.
We're going to keep them coming.
Super. Well, I'd like probably to talk to you about those too. She's, I'll just say this quickly, a lot of what she said in there has come through in other people's sessions and in my own sessions, but it was just all in one place with her. You know what I mean? It was like, rather than just a little here or that version there, or this piece over there, so much of it came from a single session. And I think that's what makes this one a really huge session.
It is huge.
Okay. Well, thanks so much again. I've so enjoyed getting to know you, Heather, and I'm sure we're going to talk again.
Thank you, Candace. I'm looking forward to it.
All right. And now stay tuned for the session.
For the very first impressions that you have as you begin to understand where you are and what is happening around you.
At first, I saw like a bright white ball of light coming at me, and then it brought me somewhere else. So it seems otherworldly, but it's like a jungle type of landscape.
Tell me more.
It's really lush and green and very mountainous, but very rocky, craggy mountains.
Mm-hmm. And in this place, do you feel like you have a body?
I can't really tell.
Mm-hmm. If you were to look down at your feet, are you able to see them?
No, I just see the landscape.
Okay, very good. So do you feel like maybe you're a light being in this place, or that you're maybe just observing?
I don't know. It feels like I'm like flying above the landscape or in the landscape.
Beautiful. So as you look around in this space at this jungle with the mountains and all of the lush greenery, do you feel like you can move? Do you feel like you are moving?
I do. I feel like I'm floating.
Mm-hmm. So tell me more about what you're experiencing as you float through this space.
It's very slow,
Mm-hmm.
but it feels peaceful, very quiet. The landscape is very pretty, but very dense.
When you say dense, what do you mean?
The foliage, the forest or the greenery, the jungle, it's very thick,
Very thick.
very overgrown.
Okay. And in this place, do you feel like you're alone, or are there any other beings around you?
I don't feel any other beings, just me.
Mm-hmm. Very good. So just allow yourself to acclimate fully to this space, to this place that you are, allowing all of your senses to become heightened and stronger, tapping into all of those inner senses, that inner knowing, your inner vision. And as you strengthen your connection to this place, tell me what happens next.
I feel like I'm higher above the landscape. I just keep seeing this one area, mountain space, and it looks like there's, I want to say a leopard, like a spotted cat down below.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think it sees me. I'm watching it.
And so just take a minute to tune into your body or your being in this space. And do you feel like you're flying over this space?
Yeah, I think I'm a bird.
Okay, very good. So just allow yourself to tune into the energy of your body, making that even stronger. And as you focus in on yourself, tell me, what do you look like?
I'm a giant bird. It's huge.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
Beautiful.
my gosh.
What color are you? What color do you see?
I want to say purple. I don't know why, but I want to say purple.
Gorgeous.
Giant purple bird.
I love that.
It doesn't feel like it's Earth, or maybe it's inner Earth. I don't know.
So let's tune into that for a minute, just allowing that inner knowing that you have. And if I were to ask you, what planet do you feel like you're on? What comes through for you?
It's inner Earth. It's Agartha.
Beautiful. Tell me more about Agartha.
It's so beautiful. It's it it seems like it looks like Earth millions of years ago, before civilization. It's very wild looking.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't feel like there are a lot of beings here.
So tell me more about this place that's inside the earth. What do you see? What do you notice?
It feels like it's waiting for something.
Mm-hmm.
Just the landscape itself, it feels like it's preparing for something.
So as you allow yourself to tune into the energy of what this space is preparing for, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
I just hear the phrase waiting to rise again.
Beautiful. Tell me more about that.
It feels like a safe space for all the high beings from ancient civilizations, that this was the place they went to retreat when the earth started to change.
And how long ago do you imagine that was when the earth began to change? Do you get a sense?
It feels like millions of years ago, like a very long time.
Mm-hmm. And so these beings, these very wise and ancient beings who reside within the center of the earth, where do these beings come from?
All over. It feels like every time a civilization fell, the few that could escape retreated here. So there's everyone from Lumerians, Atlanteans, giants. Oh God, that's so weird. Animals. It just feels like all the high beings that needed a place of sanctuary found their way here, and they've been waiting for the right moment.
So these civilizations that are housed within the center of the earth, is this all over the earth's globe? Is this in one particular area? How does that look for them?
It feels global, but they have their own areas their own communities or areas that they've developed. But it's a mix. It's not, excuse me, it's not Atlanteans staying together and Lemurians. It's like a mix of all of them. I feel ancient Egypt, ancient Greece, the ancient Greeks, the oracles, the Aborigines, the Mayans. It just feels like this culmination and this group of all of them that survived their civilization's downfall, and they're all working together for a greater purpose.
So tell me more about this greater purpose that they're all working for.
I just keep hearing they're waiting for the right time.
And the time that they're waiting for, how is that connected to the time that humanity finds itself in at this moment?
I just heard the time is now. I just hear they've been preparing for eons for this moment in time and space. And then I see this, just looks like a ball, like a rock of some sort, but a very smooth spherical rock. And then it's cracking and breaking, and this bright blue light is coming out of it. I don't know what that means, but it seems significant for them.
Okay. So let's just allow yourself to tune into that bright, that rock with the blue light that's coming out. And as you tune even deeper into the energy of that, what do you imagine the purpose of that is for?
They're excited. It feels like pure life force energy. Perhaps this is the rebirth. Once that cracks all the way open, then the blue light will be a transformational light. It looks like they're watching in awe. They understand how powerful it is, but I can't feel how powerful it is.
Mm-hmm. So this light in this ball, is this the earth that we're talking about, or is this something different?
It feels like it's at the very center, the very core of the earth.
Mm-hmm. And what's causing it to begin to crack open is what's happening to cause that?
It feels like it's her reset. Like that's when Mother Earth resets herself every so many millennium. This has to happen. This sphere has to crack open. And that vibration is felt on the surface of the planet. So we in our where we reside, we feel it in a different way. It's really strange. I can see it's like layers. I could see the inner earth down here, and then I can see like a layer of the oceans and the land, and then here's where we live up top. It's really strange.
So as you focus in to inner earth, do you see oceans and land within the earth as well?
Yes.
As inside as we have outside?
Yes, it's so beautiful. I can't even put it into words. It's so beautiful.
How is it different from what we see on the physical plane?
It feels so pure, clean, and high energy. There's no negativity at all. It's perfect.
So these beings that are living beneath the surface of the earth.
Yes.
Tell me more about what they're experiencing from their point of view with what we're going through up here.
They're aware of what's happening above the surface, but they're so focused on the work that they're doing. It's like they ignore what happens above because they're so focused on what they're doing. And it feels like what they're doing is they have spent all these years honing their higher skills. And if they were powerful up here, they're 100 times more powerful there. And so they're teaching each other and sharing the wisdom of the ages and their cultures. It's the most magnificent experience.
So you said that these civilizations that live beneath the earth are waiting for the perfect moment to rise. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? And what does that mean? Will these beings be coming back into this physical plane at some point?
We've shown Kim a work of art that she's familiar with so that she could understand and put it into perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So we just showed her the School of Athens, and that's significant because in that particular painting, it was the gathering of the brightest minds during that period in time, and that's what's happening in inner earth right now, and that will eventually come back to affect all of humanity. This is why we teased in the last time we spoke about New Earth. New Earth isn't new,
Mm-hmm.
it's a rebirth. It's a renaissance, and that's why we keep showing these images to Kim, because she understands that.
Mm-hmm.
That's the language she speaks, and that's the best way she can articulate what she's seeing, is this blending of the brightest minds and cultures all over the world, sharing their gifts, sharing their knowledge. And it all starts when that rock cracks open and the blue light resets Mother Earth.
So are we waiting for that light to crack open in order for this shift to happen? Or are we waiting for something to happen in physicality, like things to get to a boiling point before we make that shift? Can you tell us more about that?
It will happen simultaneously as the sphere cracks open and the blue light starts to emit. That is the ripple effect that will happen in your realm. And that's when the dark faction will be the most afraid, when they start to feel that energy emanating from the center of the planet. That is when things will come to their it will come to a head in your realm.
So are we beginning to feel that light at this point, or that energy come through, or is it just now beginning to crack open?
It's just now beginning to crack open.
Mm-hmm.
Very small rays of light are coming out, and the darkness fears that. It's so powerful. Humans generally can't feel it, but because they're not human, they can feel it and they understand what's happening, which is why it will get so much worse before it gets better.
And is that because the darkness is fighting to keep their place here?
Yes, that once the blue light has been released and Mother Earth has reset herself, they can't survive here.
And so these beings, when we say they can't survive and they can't stay, what happens to them? Are they removed from this physical plane? Do they disappear? What happens?
they will be forced to leave your planet because they will not be able to survive without negativity. Once the negativity has been eliminated from your planet, they can't handle it. So they will leave. Some of the bodies will remain, but those who have taken over their bodies, the entities that have taken over their bodies, will be evacuated, and they will be removed physically from this planet.
Very good. So,
and you may see that shift, for example, when someone's physical body has been infiltrated by these creatures, these otherworldly dark creatures. You will see the physical shift in the human's body once the darkness has left them. You can see it now. If you look at certain prominent figures, they don't look human anymore because they are not.
So what was it that allowed those particular humans to shift? Was it an infestation? Are they allowing other beings to come in? Do they have any control over that?
They allowed it to happen. They were tempted by the dark. The dark promised them everything they could ever want. Even though we know it's not possible, they didn't understand that. So in their greed, they made themselves vulnerable. And that's how the dark works. They tempt you so that you willingly do whatever they request of you. And in that moment that you give them permission to do whatever it is they want with you.
So what happens to the soul or the consciousness that existed in that body? Is that soul still in there with that entity? Does the soul get removed?
In the beginning, sometimes it's a fight between the soul of the human and the entity that has taken over their body, but the soul always loses the fight. So then it is ejected from the body and is, in essence, in a limbo state.
So as these dark entities are being released from this planet, does that allow for the consciousness of that individual to reintegrate, or what happens to them?
Some of them may choose to integrate, but the soul recognizes the error of their ways now that they are no longer in the body. And so most of them may not want to go back into their bodies once the darkness has taken a hold of it.
So will they get to come out of that limbo place and go back towards the light eventually?
Those souls will have to go through, in essence, a rehabilitation because they allowed themselves to be corrupt by the darkness. And it will probably take many eons for that rehabilitation to happen.
So will they do that through the process of reincarnating in other physical forms and having to learn lessons sort of like we do here on Earth? Or will they go somewhere and have that rehabilitation happen?
They will never be permitted to come back to Earth for what they've done. They have lost that privilege. So they will have to, in essence, this rehabilitation process will be in the limbo state for quite some time because of what they've done.
But they will eventually have the ability to move back towards the light at some point.
We can't see that far ahead at this point because it's going to be such a lengthy process for them. And a lot of them, the darker they are and the more corrupt the soul became, the harder it will be to rehabilitate them because they're still fighting it on this side of things. So some of them may be hanging around their bodies and feeding those entities more negativity, fueling the fire, so to speak. So it's a very dark situation, and it has to be handled carefully because darkness to this capacity has never existed before. So it needs to be handled differently than it typically would have in the past.
Very good. So one of the questions that we wanted to ask today was, can you give us a little information? My understanding is when this earth was originally created, she was created to exist in a fifth dimensional consciousness. And at some point, we descended from a fifth dimensional consciousness into a third dimensional consciousness. And was that something that we chose as a collective to experience that separation? Or was there something or many somethings that came into this reality that began that descent, that sort of infiltrated humanity to cause that dissension in energy?
That is correct. This planet was always supposed to be paradise. And it became known throughout the universe that this was the place to come and enjoy the most epic beauty you could ever possibly imagine. And so some of the entities that live throughout the universe, it's not all good on this side. We have to have a balance of good and bad. So they thought they would see what it was like, and they did like it when they came here, but when they came here, they brought their negative ways with them. And so it was a slow infiltration of the planet. And while good souls did come here to experience paradise over time, they began to not necessarily become outnumbered. They just accepted the fact that they could they could coexist with darkness. And so that's how the evolution of the planet came to where it is today.
So did anyone, I guess, is this something that happens, I don't want to say frequently, but, well, let me ask it this way. As we're ascending and we're raising our frequency and we're moving back into a fifth dimensional vibration, is there any way for this negativity to infest this planet, this experience ever again to begin that dissension process? Or will we always be going up from here?
We will never allow that to happen. Source will never allow that to happen again. We hesitate to use the word design flaw because nothing is flawed, especially when it comes from source. But source wanted this to be a free planet. And that's why there's free will on this planet. So while free will always exist, there will be a force field of protection, so to speak, so that these dark forces could never take over and infiltrate again. Source wants this planet to be what she was supposed to be again.
Very good. And these dark forces, where do they go? Do they just go to another planet to begin this process all over again, or what happens to them?
It's a very complicated situation because there always has to be a balance. So some of them go to their own home planets and they thrive in their negative environment. But it's, for some of them, it becomes boring to experience the same thing over and over again. It's more fun for them to come to a place of light and see how much damage they can do. So some of them will scatter to the ends of the universe. Some of them will go back to their home planets and enjoy their circle of negativity. And some key players will be in rehabilitation for eons.
Very good. So I had recently, we're talking about the entities that have inhabited some of the humans on this planet. There's a few people actually in the spiritual community that have been talking about walk-ins or higher consciousnesses coming in on the planet at this time to sort of assist in this shift. Is there anything that you can share with us about that from your perspective?
It's a very rare occurrence. The light never does anything without permission. So unlike the dark forces who will fester because they see a window of opportunity, the light will never do that. So it is an agreement between the soul and the walk-in to allow that to happen. And most souls are not conscious of it if they permit a walk-in to come into their body. It's in essence an agreement that was made before they incarnated. So they knew before they came into a physical body that this was an eventuality. So subconsciously they give their permission. And the walk-in will come in and do the job they need to do. The soul remains in the body as the agreement was made before incarnation. And then once the walk-in has done their job, they will leave and the soul remains.
Okay. Yes. So that's how I understood it. It was actually absolutely an agreement, not nothing to be fearful about. But so do you see at this time, as we're going in this shift, do you see a large number of these walk-ins, or just that shifting consciousness, that higher consciousness, if we want to look at it that way, coming in at this time to assist?
What we see, it's like light bulbs going off all over the planet. So we see the walk-ins as where there was no light on, now there's a light. It's usually with souls who, as we previously mentioned, made this agreement before incarnation, but it's also usually the souls who have used their free will choices to get off of their path of ascension, knowing path of ascension. So look at this walk-in situation as the boost that they need to get back on track.
Very good. So will we, as this happens and these souls make that change, what will we notice in those around us who maybe aren't quite as awakened or their eyes are open to what's going on? What will we notice in those around us?
They will start to see things differently. It will be that it'll be a moment, an occurrence, an event, something that transpires in their life that allows them to see what's happening in a from a different perspective. And once that awareness occurs within them, that's when you'll start to see larger changes in these people.
Okay. Very good. So moving back to the consciousness of Earth, and I understand the consciousness of Earth to be Sophia. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And so as she's going through her rebirth right now, and we've got all these beautiful Agarthan beings that are assisting her from below the planet, what can we do above to assist her? Does she need our assistance, or how can we help?
Sophia never needs assistance. She is more powerful than most people give her credit for.
Mm-hmm.
The inner earth beings are the ones that work with her very closely. They are, in essence, living inside her womb. So it's a very symbiotic relationship. For those of you who have awareness, that is typically enough.
Mm.
But she will always ask you to be kind and spend as much time in nature with appreciation and awareness. That is how she communicates with humans, is when you go into nature to consciously tune into her frequency. And that, in essence, could feed her as well. But she gets most of her assistance from the inner earth beings. They have more power.
Beautiful. So as we move towards this shift in consciousness, this rebirth, these inner earth beings, these amazing, all of these different beings, will these beings eventually come to the surface to meet and not become a part of humanity, but so that we're all sort of coexisting either above or below the surface? How will that look?
Eventually, it will be a fusion of both, and you will be able to freely travel between inner earth and the surface, but that's going to take quite some time. It will have to be a very slow emergence. They're not ready to leave inner earth, and most of them probably will never leave inner earth. They're happy there. And however, humanity is going to need some time to be in such close proximity to these powerful beings. It's going to take time.
Beautiful. So can you explain, we hear so many different things. There are multiple versions of Earth. There's multiple dimensions, levels, and layers of Earth. Can you explain, is the 5D Earth sort of superimposed over the 3D Earth? And are we, as we're moving through this shift, are we simply shifting into a higher frequency, which is what causes us to experience a different reality? Are those Earths in the same space, or will it be as if there's two separate Earth experiences? I may not have said that correctly, but hopefully you understood.
We understand.
Thank you.
You're welcome. There will always only be one Earth.
Okay.
So as Sophia regenerates, once the blue light has fully been released and she has been reset, once humanity has been rid of the dark faction, that is when you will move to higher states of consciousness. You've been mostly stuck in this dense reality because there has been so much dark infiltration. Once you have been rid of this, you will see how things will change very rapidly. And that's why we say it's going to happen very quickly. Some people won't understand what's happening. They'll understand that life is better. But those who don't have the knowledge before all of these shifts happen may not understand it to the same depth as those of you who do.
Mm-hmm.
So we know some say that two people could be standing next to each other and living in different realities. That's not possible. It is to a certain extent because of your beliefs and your mindset. But there's only one planet, and it needs to be a group evolution. So no soul will be left behind, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. So I have heard that some of the consciousnesses that are on this planet may not be ready to shift into the higher experience, and that they will either go somewhere else or they will stay on the third dimensional earth, or something will happen to them. Now, is that possibly referring to those who are holding that dark energy that need to go through that rehabilitation?
No, they will leave. They will not have permission to stay on this planet after that shift has happened.
Mm-hmm.
And those to those who are unaware, we say, oh, well, you have to go where everyone else goes.
Mm-hmm.
So if the whole planet has gone through a rebirth, they are going through it as well.
Okay.
And
whether they know it or not.
absolutely.
So
and they'll be okay with the change. They'll just be more confused. And that's why those of you who are aware of all of these events that are taking place, in the past, in the present, and in the future, those of you who know will be able to help them through it. And it won't be a hard process for them. Their physical bodies may have a hard time adjusting, but that, again, everything will speed up.
Okay. Is that why, because I feel like I personally went through a really rapid awakening. I know a lot of people feel like they go through sort of a rapid awakening. Is it just to prepare enough of us to be able to support those who are not quite there?
Yes, you awakened ones and star seeds have come in waves. So many years ago, the first set of awakened ones came to your planet. And ever since that first wave came, there have been subsequent waves since then. And as we get closer to the ultimate rebirth of this planet, people will be waking up so much quicker. And sometimes the quick process, depending on the person, it could be either more or less painful.
So you said that one of the main things may be the difficulty with the physical body. Now, I know that I go through, I think, just feeling the energies come in and not always understanding. It's almost like my system starts to not function in the way that I would like to. And I'm assuming that that's because the higher energies are coming in and I'm integrating with them within the system. So what I've been experiencing for the past 4 years and what other star seeds are experiencing, is that going to happen on a more rapid level or a more intense level for those who maybe are not able to integrate those higher energies?
Yes, it will. So for some, it may be very difficult for a short period of time. It may be very physically uncomfortable for them, but they will have their support system with those of you who are aware and know what to do to help the physical body. And then there will be those who it happens really fast. They're aware of the discomfort, but they welcome it because they have a higher awareness. So there's levels to how this will manifest in the physical and mental bodies of humans going forward in the next few years.
Mm-hmm. So, in what way can those of us who are aware, as we experience those, integrating those energies and feeling that discomfort, because I know what it feels like and it can be very intense, what can we do to help another person through that experience?
That's an interesting question. There are a lot of tools that you have on your planet that help mind, body, and spirit. The biggest one we feel that is the most beneficial right now is the use of orgone. So a lot of people make tiny little pyramids. They wear jewelry. While that's pretty, it's not enough. You need to surround your body with orgone to purify it and prepare it for the changes that are coming. There was a person, his name was I can't pronounce it. Reinar,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's it, who developed a box of orgone, and that may be difficult for a lot of people, but the information is out there for you to create larger ways to use this in your life. It will be transformational.
And so, if we had the orgone and we were to place it on the body, is that something that it can it just has that intelligence to know what to do?
Yes.
Okay.
You could take the stones and place them around your body, on your body, like a lot of people who do when they do crystal healing, and you can have them on your physical body while you're giving yourself an energy attunement, so to speak. And that is also helpful. That's probably the easiest way for people to use this as a healing tool. We suggest perhaps if the cost is prohibitive for some, perhaps you can find like-minded people to share the cost of making a blanket or a box, an orgone box to sit in. The more you use this tool, the better it will be, not only for the physical body, but you will rapidly accelerate the healing of any physical issues, mental health issues that people often struggle with, as well as spiritual evolvement.
And so, can we have this orgone just placed in our house? Do we always need to have it close to our body, or can we just put it in our spaces to assist us?
You can put it in your space to assist you. Intention is everything. But using it as a therapeutic tool is going to be the most beneficial.
Okay. And so in the last session, we talked about the importance of keeping the physical body healthy. Can you give us some very specific ways that we can make our body through diet, specific things to eat, important supplements to have, to help us shift and be able to bring these higher energies into our bodies?
When it comes to food, we will always tell you to eat the cleanest form of food you can find. So that would, we know it's not feasible for everyone to grow their own food. We tell you to stay out of supermarkets and shop with your local farmer if you are unable to grow your own food. We understand they may not have everything for you. Do your best to get as much clean food as you can. We know some people are going to have a hard time not eating animal products in the future, and this is why we say to make a transition. If you only shop in a grocery store and you're still eating conventional foods, you need to switch to organic. You need to go to your local farm. Biodynamic foods are going to be the highest quality you can get. So slowly start to make that shift. We ask you to please do this as quickly as possible, because the more toxins you have in your body, the more painful the transition is going to be for you.
Okay. Go ahead.
Eventually, the body will naturally move away from consuming the flesh of any animal.
Mm-hmm. We'll no longer be in alignment with that.
No. It's a process. We understand that humans have been addicted to the stimulating qualities of flesh foods for many generations. So the body is holding on to that, and we'll need to go through a healing process. The orgone therapy will help with that as well.
So as far as detoxing, if you're still in a place where you can't make some of these changes right away, is there a way for us to begin to detox? Is there anything that you can recommend to help us to release the toxins in the body?
There are many methods of detoxification. We suggest you choose a method that resonates with you. We say not all methods of detoxification are good. We like a gentle detoxification. The human body needs to sweat. So, for example, passive sweating is the best for the human body. Exercise is good, but passive sweating is better.
Passive sweating, meaning?
You may sit in the sun and sweat from the heat of the sun, and in areas where it's too cold, sauna therapy will be the best for those people.
Very good. And are there any specific supplements or foods that Kim should be incorporating into her personal diet that she needs to know about today?
She loves her supplements. We give her a lot of recognition for diligently researching everything she wants to consume. We say she's on the right track. She has acquired, we say, almost everything she needs. She has the supplements that will help her to gently detoxify her body. For her, she needs to do more sunshine therapy, walking in the forest, and passive sweating.
Very good. And she was wondering about tensor rings and if these were a helpful healing tool for her.
Yes, we love tensor rings.
Can you tell us a little bit about what they do and how they affect frequency and vibration?
So they are designed to vibrate and hold divine frequencies, and they come in. You can purchase them in different frequencies to help assist you with healing physical issues, spiritual enlightenment. All things that affect humans can be healed using these in conjunction with other tools. They raise, when you have them on your body, they help raise your energetic frequency.
Very good. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
So we're told that everything is always happening in the now moment. Past, present, and future is happening now. It's very difficult when you're in a human body because you think so linearly to understand that. Can you explain how everything is happening in this one now moment from your perspective?
This is a difficult question that often arises because humans are trying to understand a concept that is not a part of their reality.
Mm-hmm.
So any definition we give will still not be satisfactory to the humans because that is not your experience. We can say that as your planet goes through the rebirth process, the more you will be able to have awareness of what happens outside of the confines of your planet. As of now, you are limited with your knowledge of what happens interdimensionally.
Mm-hmm.
It's very difficult for the human mind to comprehend these concepts.
Mm-hmm. So when I'm working with a client in a session and we go to a past life experience, is that past life actually happening in that now moment? Is that still active, or are we tapping into the soul's memory and pulling that information down? How does that work?
It's both. You are tapping into the soul's memory, but when you are in that particular life experience, the soul, the human who is seeing that is actually in that life.
So is that why when I'm working with a client and they're having an issue that is directly tied to a past life, is it because in that past life it's still active and that issue is still happening and they're somehow energetically connected to it?
Yes, that is why when practitioners such as yourself are looking to heal something from a past life, it's not necessarily past. It is from the time and space that you're working from, but that's how healing is able to take place because it's still happening.
And so from this standpoint, as we're doing this work and we go back into that lifetime and we do that healing, does that change not only that timeline or that lifetime? Does that sort of ripple out and affect multiple lifetimes or multiple timeline experiences?
It can. For example, you are working on a health issue in the person's physical body today. You realize that the root of that physical ailment stems from a past life. You go into that past life and you heal it. Well, that past life could be affecting other lifetimes as well. So when you heal it in this reality that you're working from, you heal it in all other realities.
That's amazing. And so is that the point of why we have so many in this now experience that are becoming these types of quantum healers? Is that the purpose, is to try and begin to heal those timelines? Is that also affecting our now moment?
Yes, the reason why quantum healers such as yourself are even the whole reason why it's even possible is for the sole purpose of healing the physical body. Yes, you do a lot of things to heal emotional issues and perhaps spiritual or psychological issues as well. But at this point in time, there is such an intent focus on the physical body because it needs to prepare for what's to come.
Very good.
We will say one more thing about the experience that the person has. So when you are taking them into a past life or an alternate reality, for example, when we took Kim to see Agartha, she has always had questions or was curious about it. And when she saw those scenes we presented her, she felt as if she was physically there. She could feel it in her body. Her whole body was covered in what you call chill bumps.
What would you call them?
We just love these words. They're so funny.
Oh, I feel like we just love you.
Well, we love you too.
Thank you.
We love having the opportunity to speak like this, but she could feel that in her body, and it was overwhelming because she had never seen anything that beautiful before. You can imagine, most humans in your mind imagine what paradise would look like, but to have that experience even for a split second, that's very powerful, and that is what she felt.
So what she saw in Inner Earth, is that very similar to what we will experience on the outside plane as we shift?
Yes, it's as if two separate worlds will become one.
Okay. And can you tell me, it just popped into my head. I've noticed just in the past day, the sun has looked very interesting. Yesterday, as it was setting, it was this red color. You don't see it very often. And today, as I looked into the sky, it was this peachy golden color. What's affecting the sun looking different? Or is it just me?
No, it's not just you. There
Okay.
are both good and bad things affecting the sun.
Okay.
So focusing on the negative, they are doing things to your planet that never should have ever been done, that are harming Mother Earth. So that is why she is getting ready to have a full reset. And again, we hesitate to use the word reset because we know it also has a nefarious association. However, they've hijacked that term as well. So as we previously mentioned, Sophia has to reset herself every so many millennia, and this is now time for her to do it again. And so you will see a change in your physical reality. Colors will be different. There's a reason why Kim saw herself as a purple bird, because you will start to see things like this in your physical reality once this transition has happened. So don't be alarmed when you see strange colored birds or a strange colored sky. Eventually it will only have a positive connotation, and you'll be able to tell the difference by the shades of color that you're witnessing.
I've noticed that. I notice, especially when the sun is setting and rising, but the hues are almost more pastel. There's these just beautiful colors. And sometimes I wonder, does everybody see them that way? Or is it because an individual is holding a higher frequency and is able to see more of that color spectrum?
It's both.
Okay.
It's both. Okay. But eventually everyone will see it that way.
Beautiful. So the positive aspects of the sun being different, are we noticing a new frequency coming out of the sun, or?
It's all internal within your planet.
Okay. Beautiful.
The sun is as it always has been. So don't believe what you hear when you hear false narratives that the sun is changing or causing harm or has the potential to wipe out your planet. That's not possible. None of that has ever been true.
Should we believe so much in what do they call it when they're saying the planet is heating up?
Not true.
Okay, we don't need to even worry about that.
Yes, and don't believe your space programs. We think that is the funniest thing we have ever heard.
So they just like to constantly feed us a lot of
you are constantly being fed lie after lie after lie, which is why it's going to be so difficult for many people once the metaphorical rug has been pulled out from under them. It's going to be hard for them to land on their feet when they know that, when they accept that everything they've ever been told has been a lie.
So will that happen? Will that happen in a very quick way, that rug being pulled out and all of these truths beginning to surface? Because right now I feel like truths are surfacing, but you really have to look or know where to look. And of course, not at the mainstream media. But is there going to be something that is going to bring a lot of these things to the surface in such a way that you cannot deny the lies and manipulation?
Yes, you have an event coming up very soon. We cannot provide details. Kim is seeing an image in her head, which she will share with Heather later. For safety reasons, we cannot say it out loud, but this event is going to, let's just say it's the equivalent to a volcano erupting. And this event is going to be quite large. And it's going to set everything into motion. So when this volcano explodes, just know that when that is happening on the surface simultaneously, that Sophia's sphere will have a very large crack in her. So it's the ripple effect. So that's in essence, the beginning of the end.
So do you, and I know time, we cannot say time because it's always changing, but as we look into 2022, do you feel like the energy is going to, I know we're going to continue, it's going to continue to get more and more. Are we going to remain in this energy for the duration of the next full year, or do you see this massive shift beginning to happen sooner rather than later?
We see the volcano erupting by the end of your current year and feeling the effects of that through the new year. Springtime will start to show positive events taking place. And from there, we anticipate it will continue to get better. However, as we've mentioned, your planet is a free will planet. So provided all the key players do what they are supposed to be doing, then that won't come off course. But the volcano eruption is going to be huge.
Okay.
And we think a lot of people are expecting it. But just keep in mind that, there is some destruction that comes after a volcano eruption.
So we're watching the
key word is huge.
Huge.
Huge. So those who you share this information with, since we cannot say specifically what that volcano eruption will be, we just tell you to remember the word huge.
I'm going to write it down right now.
And you will be able to figure it out for yourself.
Okay.
And you'll probably get a laugh when you realize what that means.
Well, my brain is trying to figure it out, but hopefully you're giving Kim a little bit more to go on, and we'll talk about it after the session.
That's why she's laughing.
my brain is going many different directions trying to figure it out, but I'm going to let that one go for now. So we're watching these restrictions and this forced agenda. It's just getting worse and worse, and more people are having to deal with having their rights taken away. What can you tell us about what you see happening from your perspective, and what do we need to know about that?
Well, that's the fuse that's going to ignite the volcano explosion, so to speak. We can find humor in it on our side. We know on Earth it's very difficult because we see how so many are suffering, and we are deeply saddened by this, and we wish we could do more. Unfortunately, we're not permitted. These events need to play out, so to speak. We think it's entertaining that the dark is holding on as tight as they are, because they know they've lost. They know they have no chance of remaining supreme in your world. So we find it entertaining to watch them act as they do. We will say that collectively, the worse the impositions get, the more united humanity will become. So unfortunately, it has to happen for enough people to, in essence, have enough.
So would you say that this is the catalyst for awakening, and that even though this looks really challenging, that it's very purposeful in this shift?
Yes. Yes. There's a purpose for everything. If it didn't get this bad, then humanity won't unite the way that it needs to. There would be too much separation if it didn't get this bad. So just be prepared. It's going to get worse. Prepare yourself mentally, physically, emotionally. Keep your loved ones close. Do your best not to live in fear. And we tell everyone during this precarious time over the next 9 months, just do what you need to do to care for yourself. We strongly suggest you create communities near and far. It doesn't necessarily have to be in the area that you live. You can have a wider virtual community of support.
Very good. And so Kim is taking a sovereign law course, and she wants to know, is the course she's taking, is that going to help her in this process?
Yes, and we feel that the more people who understand this type of law, the more you will be able to protect yourselves during the difficult times. Once the shift has happened, the rebirth of your planet has happened, there will be no law other than divine law.
Beautiful.
So many people keep wondering, where's God? Where is the divine? Where is source? We can safely say that the creator, source, whatever term you would like to use, feels your pain more than you could ever possibly imagine. And the creator wants you to know that you will never feel separated ever again. The creator is always with you. You may not feel it now. It understands how difficult this is for you in human form. Just know that in time, you will feel my presence like you've never felt before.
Beautiful. And so, as the creator, what would you like those who are listening to this recording at a later date to understand, to help them rise above this experience that we're about to go through? How can they keep themselves out of these low vibrations?
It is all about unity. You must realize that you are no different than the person next to you. And when you can lovingly hold hands with each other without prejudice, without judgment, without fear, that is when you know your planet has shifted into its ultimate reality.
And so we hear of more light pouring into this planet in order to help us shift, to help us to release these densities, these emotions that weigh us down, that keep us in judgment, that keep us in separation. Can you tell us if we're going to experience a wave of energy that's going to come through and help to release more of that density? Or is that part of the Earth's releasing of that blue energy?
It will all happen simultaneously. You will feel the effects of the blue light. And with that reset, it will be like wiping the slate clean. Sorry, Kim's body's having a time adjusting to the creator coming through.
Okay. Is there anything that you can do to help her with that?
Yes, it was a lot of energy. So
okay. Is the creator still with us, or has he receded or
receded?
Okay.
We know everyone says he, and that's okay.
I know, I caught myself.
It's okay. It's okay.
Okay.
It's okay. It was just, she was not expecting that, and it was very powerful. So her body just needs to come down a little bit.
It made me a little emotional. So we just want to send our love to the creator and thank you for joining us on this session today. We'll just allow Kim to reset her energy a little bit. And just let me know when you're ready to continue.
Okay.
Beautiful. So moving back to these restrictions, and we know we've got these dark forces that want to keep us in control. And these dark forces are inhabiting some of the bodies of prominent leaders. will we see, and especially after this volcano erupts, will we see any of these people be held accountable for their crimes? Will we see this play out for all to understand?
Yes, some of them. That wasn't in the plan initially. They were just going to be removed discreetly, as to not inflict any additional trauma on humanity. However, we know that as things have gotten worse and time ticks on without resolution, we know that more and more people want to see certain figures held accountable. And while we can't say specifically who those humans will be, some of them will be held accountable in the way you want them to be.
Will it be shocking for many people when they see who these players are?
We believe most everyone knows who they are.
Okay.
On our side, we are grieved that humanity would want to see something like that.
Okay.
However, we understand that this is also part of the healing process that needs to happen on your planet. So while we have the perception of send both the dark and the light, your compassion, we understand that's going to be hard given what you've had to endure. So in essence, this is sort of a compromise. But we want to stress that when you see these things happen, don't rejoice. Send them compassion. And just we want to stress the compassion part of it, so that you don't bring any darkness into your own soul.
Because that's just adding energy to that same
Yes.
lower energy. Yeah,
Yes.
I've tried to do that, to look at some of these figures who I'm aware are doing these really dark things, and I send them love. Sometimes I laugh about the roles that they're playing, but I find
we commend you.
Thank
that
you.
Is
I
not
find
easy to do.
It's not easy, but I think we can all do it. And that's what I try to tell people, is just to send compassion, to understand that this is all part of a greater unfolding.
Yes. We're laughing at Kim because she has a difficult time sending them compassion right now. And we think it's funny when she sees certain figures on the TV and she starts yelling at the TV. We find that humorous, because we know as a soul she's pure, but her human self just has had enough.
It is difficult. We'll work on that after the session. So one more question she was asking about, do you see this, like this, I mean, I know we're moving towards a world that is unified, but as we're sort of in this in-between space, do you see certain states sort of rising up and stepping away from the country as a whole? Or is that just something that she had maybe heard?
It's a little bit of both. It will not happen to the degree that she thinks it may. We can say that it is part of the after effects of the volcano. So there will be some changes in America, but it's also going to be happening worldwide, where you see these areas within countries that are rising above. And that's because these areas have the highest concentration of awakened souls and star seeds and Walkins and everybody that could possibly help and assist in this precarious shift.
Amazing. So she has some questions. Let's talk a little bit. We'll talk a little bit about the pathogen. The first thing is her aunt is sick with it, and she's very concerned and just wanting to know if there's anything you can share with her about what might happen to her aunt, or anything that she needs to know.
She is a very strong soul. We like to call her an undercover soul because she doesn't show or has ever used her capabilities in this life. She has some habits that have essentially reduced her abilities. But she is part of the collective of souls that have volunteered to experience this, what you call pathogen.
So when you say experienced, and I like that because I've been trying to create some videos to share that help people to understand that even some of the harder choices or the harder experiences that we go through from a soul level is a choice. So, is there anything else that we need to know about that to help people to understand even though it's difficult to watch what's going on, that the souls they choose to experience whichever direction it goes for them?
That is correct. Every soul chooses to have an experience. Some can be life-changing, and for Kim's aunt in particular, this could be life-changing for her. It is not in her soul contract to leave this world due to the pathogen. However, there are certain nefarious aspects of this situation that could have an effect. So what we can say, we have to be delicate with how we talk about this. For her specifically, the plan is for her to survive it. And by surviving it, she will, in essence, transform her life during the last few years she has on this planet. And we say she has at most 10 years left. That's from what we can see without having full permission to look in her Akashic records. That was the plan. However, there are two different sets of humans that have either chosen to experience this pathogen and leave this earth that way, or they've chosen to experience it and survive it. And those who have chosen to experience it and survive it are huge light workers. They have taken a very large responsibility on their shoulders because by surviving these experiences, they are essentially turning on the light switch in a dark room.
It's amazing. So, would it be okay if we could send some healing energy through just to assist her in any way that she needs?
Yes.
Okay. So, just allowing yourself to connect with your aunt. And you can connect that heart space, just visualizing your heart connecting with your beautiful aunt and allowing all of that love and healing energy to flow between your heart and hers. And allowing her to receive that beautiful healing frequency, spreading it out all throughout her body, and allowing that energy to transmute that virus in any way that is beneficial for your aunt at this time. And then visualizing expanding that energy out to encompass your aunt fully around her aura, strengthening that aura and expanding that energy throughout all of her bodies, mental, physical, emotional, spiritual bodies are receiving that beautiful healing energy now. Just allowing your aunt to step fully into her role on this planet at this time. We thank you for allowing us to send that energy.
We have to pull the fear out of her heart chakra and her head.
Can we begin to do that for her today?
Yes.
Okay. And as that fear is being released, can we bring in a beautiful healing frequency into that area to fill that space up?
Yes, we're using Kim's body as a surrogate.
Beautiful. And just let me know when that's complete.
A lot of negative thoughts forms.
Mm-hmm.
We're filling her up with a green light of healing.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Thank you for that.
She is an amazing soul.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we are finished.
Very good. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So Kim mentioned that her and her parents were exposed to her aunts, and they were just wondering, is there anything that she or her parents need to worry about becoming ill?
It is not in their contract to contract this, what you call pathogen.
Okay, so if it's not a contracted experience, let's say I don't have it in my contract, even if I were around a person who was full on sick, I would not get it.
That is correct. That's why you see so many healthcare workers who are caring for the ill day in and day out, not getting sick because it's not in their contract.
Oh, that's amazing to hear.
And all the ridiculous things they wear on their bodies does absolutely nothing.
Mm-hmm.
If you're meant to get it, you're going to get it.
So tell us a little bit about I mean, we know there's a dark, nefarious plan behind the medication that they're using to treat it, but is that affecting anyone in any way, or are they just using that to, I'm just going to let you tell us what you can about that medication. What do we need to know?
Which specific medication are you referring to?
The one that is meant to protect us from the pathogen.
Okay, so that is the ultimate tool of the nefarious plan, the dark agenda.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that they want to do is affiliated with that medication. The more people that resist, and there are more people that are resisting. We say there's 76% that have resisted. Do not believe the lies you're being told. There are more in resistance than you may think. That is why they're so afraid, and that is why they are pushing so hard. And when they push hard, that 76% will turn to 86%, and it's game over.
So the ones, I know we discussed this a little bit in the last session, but the ones who have chosen to take that jab, number one, is that also a contracted experience for them? Did they choose that from a soul's level, or are they being manipulated?
Yes, they did. They chose that at the soul level.
Okay. So when you said earlier that we're all shifting, everyone's going except those that are being removed, the dark ones. So those who have chosen, contracted to take that jab, to receive that medication, how is that affecting them? Will it affect their transition? Is it just holding them down a little bit more?
Those will be the ones who have the most difficult transition after the rebirth of your planet. Those are the ones who are going to have the physical and mental anguish going through this transition. Those will be the ones who are more fearful and maybe a little more hesitant of what's happening. They'll realize it's all for the greater good, but that's why it's going to be so much more difficult, because their bodies have been manipulated.
So let's say you have a friend who chose to take that jab, that, feeling like that's what they needed to do at this time for their experience. But that soul is holding a maybe not a fully evolved, well, we're not fully evolved, but a more expanded consciousness than maybe the average person. Will that medication, that jab in their body, have less of an effect on someone who is holding a little bit higher frequency than somebody holding a lower frequency that receives it?
The only way it will affect you based on your frequency is in the physical body. So if you're holding a lower frequency, your physical body is going to have a harder time withstanding the poison you've chosen to put into your body. It's all a conscious choice. So when the shift happens, that's why it's going to be more difficult for them, because they're going to be consciously aware of their poor choice, and they're physically going to feel those poisons in their body. And it's going to take a lot of work to reset the body at the cellular and DNA level, because their DNA has been manipulated.
Okay. And can you tell us a little bit more about that DNA manipulation? Because my understanding and some of the work that I'm doing is through my sessions, I ask for DNA activations, and I'll ask for a DNA activation for Kim today, if that's appropriate for her. But how is it affecting our DNA? Because we're connecting back into these strands of DNA that have sort of been offline for a long time. So as we're waking up and we're ascending in consciousness, and those higher strands are coming back online, is this jab, this medication, is it sort of taking us back down into that double helix? Do I have that correct?
It's not as complex.
Okay.
So we can simplify this. It's yes, it affects the physical body. Yes, for those who have chosen to take it and remain in this reality, and remain on the planet in a human body, that human body is going to go through a pretty uncomfortable, accelerated healing process. Unfortunately, that's the side effect of making a choice. Those who have taken the medication feel that they did it for, they thought they were doing the right thing. They were misled. They were bullied. Those people will have less. They will still feel the medication being cleansed from their body. It won't be as uncomfortable because of their level of consciousness. So you have those who are essentially worshiping the medication as a false idol. Those are the ones who are going to experience the most pain. And then those who have remorse will have less discomfort. But none of this will happen until after the shift.
Okay.
And that's why those of you who have chosen to remain pure and who are highly aware and spiritually evolved, you will be the ones to help them, which we find ironic because they can't stand you right now. So it will be a very humbling experience for them.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's, it's hard. It's really hard to know what is right or wrong in this reality at this point.
Yes.
I have
We
compassion.
feel sorry. Yes, we as well. We understand how difficult it is to be alive on your planet at this time.
Thank you for that. So she was wondering, so they have no reason to worry about getting sick, but she was given a very detailed protocol of lots of vitamins, and they're ones that many of us are aware of. Is that something that they need to continue to take, or just not worry about those?
We say they don't have to worry about them, but knowing the mindset of Kim and her family, they feel they need to do it as a precaution. So it's just, if they choose to have that experience, they will. They may feel a little ill from some of the supplements they were told to take. We say reduce the amount and the duration. It is unnecessary. But again, it's their choice if they feel they need to do that. This is an interesting experience for Kim because she has had very specific beliefs about this pathogen, and we say she has been right in her intuitive feelings about what is really happening here. But at the same time, she still needs to physically protect herself. Her body isn't in a place yet to regenerate without assistance.
So these vitamins and supplements will still be beneficial for her?
Yes, and they will be beneficial for anyone who chooses to take them. We say incorporate these supplements with the changes we previously mentioned about changing your diet, getting, sunshine, therapy, exercise, all those things that are good for the body. We know humans know these things. We just don't understand why they don't do them.
We try. Yes, I feel the same way. Why can't I do the things that I know are right for me? Why do I get led down the path of all the temptations?
Well, we say, since your planet is a planet of free will, we cannot interfere. As your guides, we cannot interfere without your permission. So please ask us every day to help you, and we will be there to help you.
Very good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So can you give us a little information? Oh goodness, there's so many things that float around in our reality. One of the things that we hear is about the wireless, the 5G, and these signals that are in our atmosphere that are affecting us. Is there any direct relation between the 5G technology and this pathogen?
Yes, that is essentially what activated it. So those who created this, what's the right word? We're just going to say how we feel. Those who created this weapon did so with the intent to cause harm far and wide, and the only way they were able to spread it as far and wide as they wanted to was with the assistance of a very specific technology. And we would like to interject here and say that the technology you have on your planet is going to change dramatically after the shift. You will no longer have all of the harmful technology. You will have galactic technology, which is pure light. So to give you a human example of what that would be like would be the wondrous soul of Nikola Tesla. He created galactic technology, and that is what will be prevalent on your Earth.
Oh, that's amazing. That's so exciting. So one of her questions is, how did they release this pathogen onto humanity? Is there anything else that you can share with us about that?
They're doing it in multiple ways. It activates and infiltrates the body. How are we allowed to say this? It's airborne, but not in the way you believe it to be. So you're not contracting this if someone sneezes. You're contracting it from the air you breathe because it's a microparticle. That is entering the body through the skin.
So these masks are not doing anything.
No, which is why we think everyone looks ridiculous. Why on earth would you want to cover your beautiful faces?
So it enters, it's in the air and it enters through the skin.
Yes.
Okay.
So when it first started and they forced everyone to go to their homes, that was nothing. The reason why they made everyone go to their homes was so that no one could see them releasing it into the environment. We ask that humanity not only send their gratitude, but do everything they can to help the plant kingdom, because they are the ones who have absorbed most of the poison for you.
Oh my gosh.
To protect you.
That's amazing. Can you tell me a little bit more about how they're able to do that?
It's their filtration system that they have. It's much stronger than the human body, so they are able to endure so much more than the human body can. The human body only lasts for so long. If a human is lucky, they will live 100 years. Trees could last for centuries.
That's incredible.
Yes, be very grateful to your plant kingdom for what they have done for you. They, in essence, are saving you. It could have been much worse.
So one of her questions was, what do we do to protect ourselves from this pathogen without living in fear and isolation? Is there a way to even protect ourselves if it's in our contract or our soul's plan to experience this?
No, if you're meant to have this experience, you will have this experience. And we know that's hard for a lot of people to accept. But unfortunately, you either chose to have this experience and survive it, or you've chosen to have this experience and leave this existence.
And can you tell us anything about, one of the things that we've heard is that those who have taken the jab, the medication, I don't want to say are spreading it, but is it creating the different variants? Does that have any connection at all?
It does, because they've in essence drunk the poison. So it festers in their body. And because it's such a nefarious technology, that it replicates. And so, yes, they are spreading it to a certain degree. From what we can see on our side, the negative faction has already released as much of it as they possibly can without causing themselves harm, because they believe they don't understand how it's really working. To a certain extent, they also want to protect themselves.
Is this an alien technology that they're using, meaning something that is not of this earth, or is this something that was created here?
It was created here.
Okay.
By souls who have been infiltrated. So I guess that is a yes and no answer.
Okay, that makes sense. All right. So can you tell us anything? In the last session that we had, we talked about her cousin Joe and his experience in the hospital. He shared a little bit about the hospital was not allowed to treat him in the way that he could have been treated. Is there anything that you can tell us about the healthcare system and how it's blocking patients from receiving the care that they need?
Those who are working in that environment, who are making the conscious choice to harm their patients, are part of the problem. They are most likely infiltrated souls. We can't see everyone by scanning the earth, but it is a safe assumption that they are infiltrated.
And so those infiltrated souls, will they are they considered to be the dark souls that will be removed, or do they have an entity within them that is sort of controlling them to make these choices?
Most of them have an entity in them that is controlling them. So just as before, they may have the choice to come back into their body, but we feel that most who have been infiltrated will just leave your planet altogether, and their souls will go on to other areas for healing and rehabilitation, because once again, they have allowed themselves to be infiltrated and manipulated because of their own negative intent. And as a human, not everyone has a negative intent, but the human ego is not a good thing, especially when it comes to healthcare workers. They like to, as you would say, play God, and that is not appropriate. So they will lose the privilege of helping others.
Okay. And so can maybe some of these people who have these entities within them, is it possible for these walk-ins and the higher consciousness that's coming in to assist that person? Could that be an experience that they have?
A walk-in will not go into a human body that has been infiltrated by the negative. So unfortunately for them, their poor choices as a human let them allow them to become vulnerable to the dark, and the dark took them over. So they will either come back into their bodies, or they will leave and have to be rehabilitated. Whenever the soul finally moves on, they will have to be rehabilitated for their poor choices.
Understood. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So what do people that are going in, that are getting sick, that do need to go into these hospitals and medical facilities, what do they need to know to help them to receive the best care when they're in these places?
we say take care of your bodies to prevent you from having to go to the hospital and medical facilities. Unfortunately, we know that some people get to that point where they have to go, and we say you need to be mindful of what's happening, ask a lot of questions, be proactive in your care. And if you have family or friends who can speak on your behalf, you must do that, or you put yourselves in grave danger.
Mm. So Kim feels like she has been speaking up on behalf of her aunts and standing up for trying to bring the best health care to her aunt. How does that have an effect on the doctors and the nurses when she speaks up and speaks her truth? How does it shift them?
In two ways. One, it hurts their little ego. And we say that with sarcasm because that needs to change. If you are in the role of providing care for others, there is no room for ego in that role, which is why in your world you see more compassion from your alternative healthcare workers. Those will become the mainstream healthcare practitioners after your shift. Medicine as you know it will cease to exist because it was infiltrated by the dark.
So give us a little more information. How will we experience more natural ways of healing? Will we have hospitals? Will we have doctors? Or will that all completely transform?
All of that will completely transform over a period of time as your human bodies acclimate to the to the state of the planet after the rebirth. You will still need healthcare providers, but people won't be going to doctors and hospitals because that system is invasive, and it's antithetical to your natural human state. So people will naturally start to seek out what is considered alternative, and thus it will become the main source of care for your body because it all is based in nature.
Beautiful. So during our last session, we took a look at Kim's throat chakra, did a little healing work on that. And she said after that experience, she felt like she's been able to speak up and verbalize things more. One of the ways was her thoughts at work, that she verbalized some things. And she just wanted to know what the repercussions of that might be.
There's no polite way to say this, so we will just say her employer felt really stupid and felt stupid that Kim called her and a coworker out on their inappropriate behavior, which is why no one had the courage to reply. They were actually shocked that Kim said something because she's always so quiet. And some of them were angry. And then once the anger faded, they realized how inappropriate they were. But again, it's an ego thing. They all felt really stupid. Sorry, we keep using that word, but there's no other more polite words to use.
So what were the benefits that Kim speaking up and speaking out, what benefits did that have for those people?
It made them realize how inappropriate they were behaving and that there is no room in this world for discrimination of any kind.
So she did exactly what she needed to do with that then.
Yes, and we are very proud of her. She never opens her mouth. And we found it very entertaining to see how angry she got and how that was what finally made her open her mouth.
From your perspective, as you're looking down on us, because I often wonder, I talk to my guides all the time, and I often wonder, do you see us from the perspective of a vision? Do you feel our vibration? Do you hear what we say? What's that like for you?
The best way we can describe it, most of the time, it is like you would watch a television program. So we can see it like that. And then other times we are much closer to you and we're just walking amongst you. Unfortunately, you can't see us, but we're there anyway.
And is there a way that you could potentially manifest in the physical?
Yes, and after your shift, we will have the ability to move between the dimensions, so to speak. And this is going to be most exciting for Kim because, as she has felt for many years, her grandfather is a guide, and she will finally be able to hug him again.
Oh, that's beautiful. I was told I had a grandfather as a guide as well, so that's amazing.
You do, and your grandfather and Kim's grandfather are friends, which is how you two met and are working together.
Oh my gosh, I have the chills. That's amazing.
Yes.
Oh, thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome. They met in, I guess we can say it in a humorous way. They met in guide school.
I love it. Yeah, I was told by a medium that my grandfather stayed back to be my guide. So I'm assuming that maybe he wasn't a guide before, but thought, I'm going to sign up for this mission.
Yes, you have the choice. Not all of us choose to become guides, and not all of us will remain guides forever. So it's just one of the many different possibilities on this side.
Oh, that is so incredible. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So let's move back to Ginger, sweet Ginger. So first of all, she wanted to know about this allergy. Is that just part of her makeup to have this allergy, or did Ginger specifically trigger it? And is there a way that she can heal that?
She's always had allergies to a certain degree. The thing that triggered it for her, unfortunately, she made the poor choice of smoking cigarettes when she was younger, and those toxins in her body, which have now left, that triggered an allergic response that manifested after a certain period of time. When she was younger, she was not allergic to her dogs. But after years of smoking, she became allergic to one of her dogs. And then now, unfortunately, with Ginger in the house, that is making it worse for her.
Okay.
So it's a couple of things. She chose to come here to experience a wide variety of bodily issues. So that's part of it. Part of it is a past life experience where she was exposed to a lot of smoke inhalation, and that is what triggered a lung issue, the asthmatic allergic response in her. And we will remove that from her today.
Okay, thank you very much. So she wants to, she did take Ginger to the new doctor, and which she loves. She's very excited. But the doctor thinks that the bleeding may be cancer, and she wants to know if he does indeed have cancer.
From our side, we say no, there's no cancer. We don't see that in the body. She needs to dig further. There's something else non-fatal that's causing the bleeding. But as much as we hate to tell Kim, she does not have much time left with him. because that is what he chose to experience, a short duration of being hers.
Okay, so can you give her any idea of how much time that she has with him?
She's not going to like this, but we see 6 to 8 months.
Okay. And can she just have some assistance to help her with that and understanding that is this his contracted experience to leave the earth around that time?
Yes, we will help her.
Okay. Would it be appropriate if we sent some healing energy to Ginger today just to help him in any way that he needs?
Yes.
Okay. Would it be appropriate to focus on that area where the bleeding is and just wrap that in some white light?
Yes.
Okay. So just allowing yourself to connect energetically to Ginger and asking the guides to assist in directing this beautiful healing golden white light from source, powerful creator energy, bringing that into Ginger's physical body and just expanding that energy out, relieving any discomfort that he may have, and just surrounding the sweet baby with this energy. And does Ginger have any messages that he would like to share with her today? Anything she needs to know?
He's very grateful for the love and affection she gives him. He was not expecting to have such a happy life because it did not start out that way. And so he feels safe, and he's saying that his life is better than he thought it would be living in this body.
Very good.
And he likes it when she holds him. And as he gets closer to his time of departure, she will notice that he wants to be held more.
Very good. And in the last session, he mentioned that he wanted her to sing, which she said she has done. How has he enjoyed that?
He feels it vibrate, like it for him. It's a vibration in the body, and it's very soothing. It's like you're petting him with your voice, and he just finds comfort in it.
Beautiful. So keep singing. So during her last session, we also talked a good bit about Tyler and Kim's and Tyler's connection. And she was told to wait 19 days before she contacted him, but she didn't. She contacted him about her aunt to let him know. How has that impacted what she was supposed to do with the waiting?
We knew she wasn't going to wait. So that was a test for her. We are going to advise that the clock be reset and wait another 19 days. So see how that transpires. It's a test. It's a test for the both of them.
She's wondering if there's anything that you can tell her about whether Tyler has had the medication. if that's appropriate.
He's thought about it. He's thought about it really hard, almost to the point of taking it, but he has not as of yet. He feels subconsciously that if he takes it, he'll never see her again. So he's not conscious of that, but subconsciously that's what's keeping him from doing it.
And so can you share with us if he's been with or has been around maybe anyone who has had that medication that's affected him in any way?
He works with people who have taken it. We know the sensitive question she was curious about, and from what we can see, the answer is no. Again, because he knows at the subconscious level that Kim would never allow him back into her life had he taken the medication.
Okay, very good. And she was told in the last session that their relationship is undetermined. She wants to know why there isn't more of a definitive answer if the higher self can see into the past, present, and future. Can you tell her about that?
Yes. So the first part of that answer is free will. So both Kim and Tyler have the free will to make choices that could determine their futures, whether that be together or separate. The second part of that answer is that if we told her anything and gave her details of what could happen or what may happen or what will happen, then she will make different choices in life. And she still has certain things to experience before this relationship plays out either way. So we don't want to interfere with those choices and those experiences. As much as we would love to give her more information, we tell her to just keep living her life, living her best life, making decisions that are wonderful for her, experience all the amazing things she's meant to experience. And if and when he is meant to return back into her life, he will. But we will just say there's a reason why they keep talking.
So this is a hard test for her then.
This is the hardest test.
She's very drawn to him.
Yes, this is the hardest test she came here to experience. The two biggest things she came here to experience is this relationship and the dealing with the limitations of a physical human body.
Very good. So can you explain timelines to us? It's my understanding that an individual human can create multiple timelines. Is there anything that you can share as to how this works? Is it by our choices?
Yes. So for example, let's see, the best way we can describe this is before you incarnate, you meet with your circle of soul family and guides and any other high beings on our side that will help you come up with your life plan. So you have other souls that you need to incarnate with for specific experiences and lessons. All of that happens in this planning phase before you become a physical person. Once you come here with that plan buried deep into your subconscious. So while you think you are making a lot of choices based on your personal desires as a physical person, your soul already made those choices before you came here. So once you start on your path of life, this is where there's a fine line between free will and destiny. And we use the word destiny as the most human way to describe this plan that you come here with.
Mm-hmm.
So you make choices as a human, and that is either going to keep you on your path of destiny or it's going to detour you.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes those detours lead to a lesson, and then you come back onto your path. And sometimes it's a hard detour and it completely takes you off your path. When it's a complete hard detour, that's when you jump timelines. So again, we use the word timeline in the not in the literal sense, but we would say it's more metaphorical, where it's just how you choose to navigate through your reality. For the most part, your plan of destiny, very few people waver from that, but a lot of things can affect a soul on your planet in terms of free will. So that those free will choices, like for example, those who allowed negative, nefarious entities to invade them, affect them, that was a hard detour that they took. So there's no coming back to your destiny once you make that hard detour.
Gotcha. Okay. So we're also sort of are we creating timelines as a collective, or are these timelines already created and we're simply aligning vibrationally to these experiences?
We say that it's not necessarily aligning with a vibration, because that implies that the road ahead isn't visible. Your highway, so to speak, is very much visible and there. You have the choice whether you're going to take a detour exit or not. So that's where free will comes in. You're in your car on your highway of your life experience, but Source has given you the free will to exit as you choose. And it's your choice whether you get back on the highway or not. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. And so that's also happening like as a collective experience. We all have we can all sort of get onto the same path, or are we all taking just...
You are all on an individual highway. However, that individual highway is connected to a global, in keeping with the this metaphor, interstate.
Okay.
So you have one global interstate, while you are each driving on your own individual highway.
Okay. Very good. I was wondering about the Mandela effect, which is, where we think things are one way and then we see them a different way. I'm wondering what I was going, I've got tongue tied. As we're going down these different timelines, does that affect the history that we see? So if we move on to a higher timeline experience as a collective, does that shift the way we see past experiences or histories? Did that make any sense whatsoever?
Yes, so we understand what you're trying to say.
Okay.
So yes, it does, because as your perception of your life and your situation changes, your perception of the past also changes as well.
Okay.
And so if say today you have another shift in perception, then your future is going to look different and your past is going to look different because you've changed.
So do those multiple pasts, are they already created and in existence and we're just tuning into them?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Some of them, well, let's step back a moment. Some of them are there. Some of the detours are meant to be a lesson for you to learn. And those are the detours you take where you get back on the highway. Some of the others, if the hard detour is when perhaps there is negative interference, you make poor choices. There's a variety of things that can affect that. And those aren't necessarily in your plan.
Okay. Very good. Thank you for that information.
You're welcome.
So I think the final thing that I wanted to speak about today was some things that we can expect to experience after this shift, how our lives will transform. And one of the things that I know probably many people think about is the way we have to support ourselves financially, work jobs, save money, put it away. How will that change? What will it be like in the future? How will we support ourselves? Will we need to?
You won't need to.
Okay.
And this is part of a lot of the changes. We mentioned the technology is going to change, healthcare is going to change, your food's going to change. You have so many changes that are coming. It's overwhelming. So that's why we like to just keep telling you, do everything you can to prepare yourself in mind, body, and spirit. Those of you who are prepared are going to be so excited when this happens and it finally becomes your reality, because then you will be stepping into the position of helping those who did not have this understanding, this knowledge, this awareness. So those will be the jobs that you have. You're just going to be serving humanity, humanity serving each other. You won't need currency because there will be nothing to purchase. Everything is free for everyone.
I can't even imagine that.
It is hard for the human mind to wrap their understanding around that concept, because you have been taken off the path of this planet for so long. It's been like this for millennium, and it's time to get back to the planet's original intent.
So things like retirement accounts, we work hard most of our lives to save for retirement. We will need nothing like that as we get into our older years.
No.
Okay.
No. We would like to just interject and say that we know that a lot of people are going to feel safe continuing to live like that, and we suggest, yes, do that. Continue to provide for yourself, take care of yourself. If you feel that it's important to save for the retirement, then by all means do. Just know that in the future you won't need it. Okay. But if that's what you need to do to make yourself feel safe, we want everyone to feel safe during these next couple of years, when all these changes and all the shifts and the volcano and all of that stuff happening.
Very good.
We want you to feel as safe as possible. Thank
you. And what about aging? I know we're talking a lot about getting our bodies prepared, and I know we're shifting into a lighter version of our body. How is that going to affect the way we age in the future?
It's going to slow it down tremendously. Because of the negativity, aging has sped up so much on this planet to where the average human lives something around 80 years, to give or take, depending upon their personal health. Humans should be living so much longer. In the past, humans would live an average of 225 years.
Wow.
And because time didn't exist in the way that it does on your planet now.
So do you see those of us who are in human form right now, do you see, like I'm at 46 years old, is there a potential for me to live much past that 100 years, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And will that change as our bodies, well, everything's good. We're going to just become healthier, correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. So when your body ages, it's going to be slowed down. So the best way we could explain this is that your age may be 46, but you will look younger. And as time goes on, yes, the human body will age, but you will look very young in your old body. So you won't look like you are 40. You will most certainly look older, but you will look very young based on your age, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Very good. And can we just speed that process along, please? I know there's going to be many that are watching this going, yes, please. What can we expect for our communities and our neighborhoods? How are we going to come together in our communities for the greater good of all?
Oh, it's gonna be so beautiful. We're so excited for this aspect of your transition because it's all about community and uniting as one. And as cliche as that sounds, you will be contributing to your community through community agriculture. So you will be providing for yourselves. You will be helping one another out. And there will be no currency exchange because you're doing it for the greater good of someone else, and they will be helping you for the greater good.
So as we look out on this world and we have so many businesses and we have so many things and so many companies that, people are going to, is all that just going to change? Will we still have things? Will we still need to?
You will have less things because as the planet resets herself and as you go through this transition, you won't want as much stuff as you guys are used to having. It won't be important anymore. What will be important will be the interactions you have with other members in your community, your friends, your loved one, with other humans, with the animals, with nature. So you won't care about getting the latest thing.
Prada handbag.
Exactly. That won't mean anything anymore.
Okay.
It will be, how is the best way to describe this without causing alarm? Your population will be reduced, unfortunately, as part of the nefarious plan. So, and as we mentioned, that's the side effect of people who chose to take the medication, people who have a soul contract to experience the contagion and leave this world that way. So we just like to put some caution out there to prepare yourselves emotionally for this. But unfortunately, that's just those are the contracts. We can't change those. So when the earth is less densely populated, you will start to realize that it was the things that you surround yourselves with that you were using to numb yourself from how negative your reality is. Once that veil of negativity is removed, you won't need the stuff. You won't, yes, you'll still be wearing clothes, but it won't matter if you have the latest fashion, because honestly, that fashion won't be around anymore. That stuff just won't exist. It's too material to exist in a high vibrational planet.
Beautiful. So can you tell us a little bit, excuse me, about how education on this planet will evolve? What will our children experience and our college age students? Will we have college? Will it be
No.
different? Okay.
Yes, no, it'll all be different. So children will grow up learning the history of the planet. And just like they learn history today, they learn a false history. Children going forward will learn the new history, the history as it really happened. Things won't be omitted just because they were negative. There won't be false things that are told just to keep you locked in fear. So while they'll learn a lot of history, they will also learn how to use their higher dimensional skills. So you'll be a civilization of and a planet of using telepathy and energy healing and just cultivating and healing this beautiful planet.
That's beautiful. And so will we have those who, because from my standpoint, I'm still trying to figure out the actual history of this planet. Will we have higher dimensional beings that will come down, or will they incarnate? Are they here now that will be teaching these histories? How will that work?
Those are the beings in inner earth right now. Those are the ones that will come forth because they have been witness to all of it. And they are the ones who will come forth and share the true history of this planet because they've been here all along.
Beautiful. And will they look like humans? Will we notice that there's a difference in them, or will they take their true form?
They will look like us to a certain degree. We're showing him some visions so that she can understand. So some will look like their most primitive self. Some will want to look as you look now. And some are going to choose to stay in inner earth because they're still a little bit of afraid to come into this reality. So it will be interesting to see the blending of the races, so to speak, and the ancient cultures, and you will be able to recognize who they are because they're going to be the teachers and a lot of the leaders coming forward.
Beautiful. So does Kim have an aspect of herself that is currently in Agartha? I may not be saying that correctly either.
Yes.
Is that what? And was that the purple bird that we looked at the beginning, or is it different?
It's different. That was her totem, her animal totem. She has had many experiences. She has had a past life experience in Atlantis, in ancient Egypt, ancient Greece, and Polynesia. So those aspects of herself are in inner earth right now.
Okay. And I feel also connected. I was told I was connected in that way. Can you tell me how I'm connected to inner earth?
You have a Nordic past life, so a very strong connection to the Nordic cultures. You also have a ancient Greek past life. You have a ancient Chinese. You were a Chinese sage. So that was one of your most prolific lives. You also lived the civilization of Antarctica. And so all those aspects of you are also in inner earth.
That's amazing. Okay, can you explain those aspects again? So everything is existing now. So all of those lifetimes are still active, or?
It's like, how can we describe this? It's like you have a physical body right now that you are in, but a part of your soul is living in another dimensional reality. And that's essentially what Inner Earth is right now. It's very much physical space, but it's also an alternative dimension.
So as these beings are there, they're operating obviously at a much higher frequency than we are here. Is there an awareness at a soul level of the different aspects of the soul? Would they know each other?
Yes, absolutely. You will be working together.
Oh, wow.
So it will be several aspects of the same soul working together for the greater good.
That's incredible. Is there anything else that we need to know important about Inner Earth today? Anything that those beings would like to share with us?
As excited as they are for this to happen, they know it's coming. They are the ones that are watching the blue light. There's also a bit of apprehension because they see where the planet is right now. And they're a little fearful of that because they've been protected for so long. But they know that the reset is going to happen. They're preparing.
And anything, again, that we can do other than just taking care of our physical bodies, any type of energy work, any type of meditation or visualization that can assist?
All of those things are beneficial. If you feel a strong connection with Inner Earth, then we say to get into meditation and consciously try to connect with those aspects of yourself and connect with them. You will receive messages from Inner Earth that could be beneficial for you.
Beautiful. Any additional information that Kim's guides would like to share with us today? Any final messages they would like to bring through?
We are always grateful for the opportunity to share our knowledge with those who want to make a change in the world, those who want to raise their awareness. And we just want to remind everyone that we are always here, so please ask for our assistance. We want to be of great assistance to you during this time.
Thank you. And may I ask who all we had the pleasure of speaking with today?
You have been speaking to Kim's guides. One particular guide has been speaking the most, and that is George. She finds this really humorous.
I can see it on her face.
He is one of her guides, one of her artistic guides. So because they have had many experiences together in past lives, he was the one who brought forth the image of the School of Athens, and he keeps bringing those familiar images into her head. He just felt like he really needed to be here to support her during this session.
Beautiful. And any other beings that were part of this other than the Creator? We're very grateful that we received that information.
Yes, we were not expecting that to happen either. So we always get excited, but it is very powerful for us as well. So yeah, because Kim was not expecting that, and she could definitely feel it in her body.
Do you assist in helping her to filter that vibration? Does it come through you and then filter through her?
No, it comes directly through. We are not allowed to interfere when the creator is speaking.
Okay. That's incredible. Any final messages, or are we complete today?
We feel we are complete today.
Okay. I just want to send so much gratitude and love to all the beings and to the creator for bringing forward so much incredible information that I know is going to benefit so many people who are able to listen to this recording at a later time. So we send you so much love and just ask all beings to recede back to their time, space, and dimension. And we're going to begin to bring your light body back to your physical body now.